particular branch of our education for ever since we've offered it, I believe, Marty, and has been with us for a long time. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to be as brief as possible, but I will tell you that I had been to a market 45 years ago and 50 years ago, and I knew what a market was. In fact, because we were doing quilting kits and quilting things, and there wasn't a quilt market, we went to hobby markets and needlework markets and gift markets, and when Carrie said, "Do you want to come to my market?" I said, "Oh, another market." Because I wasn't smart enough to know once there was a quilt market, I could drop all those others. But anyway, we did do an event similar to Schoolhouse the day before the first market, and I would like to say, I'd like to know if there's anybody else besides Carrie and me. I don't even think Nancy has been at every single quilt market for 40 years. Anybody but me? Okay, anyway, this is Schoolhouse. This is your brochure. There's a nice new feature the last couple of markets that is a grid of all the classes on the first 2 pages. There's a place on the back you can mark your own event. These are, every page is a different session. The people in the next class, I want you to be very kind as you leave today. They have all been warned that this is a big event and that people have a long ways to go after they leave here. So please have your little tickets ready. No ticky, no gift bag. So have your tickets ready to exchange for the Tula Pink gift bag. And I'm very excited about this event, and I'm going to introduce Nancy Jewell, who is the Managing Director of Free Spirit, who will make the final introductions. Thank you, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning. What are you guys waiting for?
Tula.
Seriously, what have you been waiting for?
Tula.
First, on behalf well, you know, it's like a reality show when they cut to the commercial, but you just left hanging. So I'm going to leave you hanging just a little bit longer. On behalf of Free Spirit and our partners for the Premier Schoolhouse, Oracle and Brewer, and there's a ton more partners that are in the little goodie bags. You're going to be so excited for everything that's in the goodie bags. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to come here today and for being so excited about, what are you waiting for?
Tula.
What are you waiting for?
Tula.
I can't hear you.
Tula.
Tula, the woman who needs no introduction, the rock star of the quilting industry, Miss Tula Pink. For a woman who needs no introduction, I sure got a lot of it. Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you ready for a fabric designer to tell you how you run your business?
Yes.
I tried that when I worked at my mom's shop. It didn't go over well then either. So I'm really excited to be doing this. This is super nerve-wracking, so my voice is probably going to wobble a little at the beginning, but I'll steady out at some point. I'm usually in a smaller room with people who came there specifically just to see me, so I already own you, so it makes me a little less nervous. This is a different situation. Some of you have to be here, and I'm sorry. So, you know, every once in a while, I come out with a fabric line that Free Spirit will let me hold back for Quilt Market. And I don't do it often, but when I do it, it's for a reason. It's because I believe in something so incredibly deeply that I want to be the first one to show it to you. I want to show you everything about it without it coming from different sources so that I can properly introduce you to something that I think is my best work I've ever done.
And this is one of those moments. And Free Spirit holds these lines back so that I can do this at really great trauma to them personally. And so I'm really grateful that you guys let me do this from time to time. So what I want to introduce you today is something that is pretty special, but I want to talk about it in terms of why it exists. So by supporting our community, we support ourselves. This is one of those rare industries where we are our own audience, more often than not. Most of us didn't open up a quilt shop because we thought, you know, I could go be a doctor or I could own a quilt shop. That might be more lucrative. Most of us open up quilt shops or get into the quilting business because we love it. It comes from a place of passion and desire. And I told myself a long time ago, if I can just barely support myself and be this happy doing what I do, then it's worth doing. Luckily, I can support myself now. It took some time though. But by supporting the community, we're supporting ourselves. And what I mean by that is by the community is me. We are one and the same. So when I was starting to do a fabric line, the first thing I always ask myself is what do they need and what do they want? And I have in parentheses here we, because when I say what do they need, I'm talking about the consumer, but that's me also. So what do I need? What do I want? Is always the place that I start when I'm designing a fabric line. Where do need and want meet? This is an important question that I ask myself whenever I'm starting to design product, because you need fabric to make a quilt. Well, the need part of that is plain muslin, right? That's the need. It's a fabric. My job is to take that need and make it something you also want. Because otherwise, we could just buy ourselves a couple of bolts of solid muslin and run off and make a bunch of quilts and never come back and buy more fabric. My job is to take this need, dress it in what you want, and re-deliver it so your customer keeps coming back. And my greatest asset as a designer is being a passionate consumer. Is by any chance Sarah's Fabrics in the room today? Okay, that's my local quilt shop. If you want to know how passionately I consume, you may ask them. At one point I went into their store and she yelled from the back of the store, "Oh, finally, a real customer's here." I go quilt fabric shopping for my birthday. That's what I do every year on my birthday. When I say I'm a passionate consumer, I am dead serious, and my accountant can tell you that. He still doesn't understand why a single person needs 13 sewing machines, but I have a reason for every single one of them. So what I can do as a designer is I can tell our story. So when I'm designing a fabric line, I'm serving a need, I'm addressing a want, and I'm trying to tell a story. And how can I tell that story? What story is relevant? The story that's relevant to me, relevant to your customer, and relevant to most of you is the story of makers. And that's what I'm here to say and talk about today, is the story of makers. So imagine for a second, I mean, really reach deep down, close your eyes, imagine what it would be like if you actually had time to sew.
It's not the truth.
It's a reach, I know, but let's go to fantasy land here. What would that day look like, right? Where would we start? What would it look like? Well, we'd start the day with passion. We'd have a passion to make something. Maybe it's a new pattern. Maybe we have a new stack of fabric that we're dying to cut into. Maybe there's a baby on the way. Maybe this baby will be the one that finally lives up to all your hopes and dreams, so you want to make it a really good quilt, right? Maybe there's a wedding, you know? Maybe my brother finally found a girl I actually like, and I want to commemorate that. Maybe that's on the table, but there's a passion. Every quilt starts with a passion and a desire. We want to make something. So this print is all of those hopes and dreams that we bring to every project, whether it's just an idea, it's a creative expression, it's for a person, it means something to us. Then we have to gather our tools, right? And that might be our sewing friends, our friends that we hang out with while we make stuff. That's gathering our scissors and our thread, preferably Orifil, since they're a sponsor. Check one box. Our scissors may be that we got from Brewer that have my name on them. Possibly, I don't know. But we gather our materials, we gather all of our stuff, we gather our friends, and we get ready to make. We've got our idea, we've got our stuff, we're ready to go. Now it's time to plan. We're gonna plan what we're gonna make. We're gonna say, how many 2-inch squares do I have to cut out of this huge pile of fabric? And you know, how many fabrics do I actually need for this? We have to start our planning. Then there's the measuring, right? We gotta measure everything. We've gotta figure out how big is this quilt gonna be? What size are the pieces I need to cut? Am I gonna fussy cut it because it's Tula Pink fabric and it's so pretty, I don't wanna cut in the middle of it? I don't know, I'm just guessing. I don't know. But then we're cutting, right? We have to start cutting our materials, putting them together, figuring out how many pieces we need, and then it's time to sew. So then we get our machine out, we sew, and I just want to point out really quickly, my favorite part about this print is the plug. The sewing machine. Oh, what did I do? Oh, it's gone. Okay. And then once our quilt top's done, we baste it, we pin it, we get it ready for quilting, and then we start our finishing. So then there's our stitching, our embellishing. Maybe we add a Renaissance ribbon to it. I don't know what you're doing. But you never know. And then we have our 3 color palettes for the line, titled Morning, Noon, and Night, because we all know what it takes, right? If we had our way, we would do this all day long. And maybe you're not a single palette kind of girl, so you have the one whole awesome day palette. So that's all very nice. Thank you. I take randomly shouted compliments and applause. I have 0 issue with that, so keep it coming. Because you are stuck with me if you want to get your free stuff, so pay attention. But fabric alone does not make a quilt. Just fabric. I've often thought about what would happen. I don't know, maybe other people don't think about this, but like what would happen if I went to prison? Would they give me scissors and a needle? Like, would I have to sew with hair? Would I have to like carve a needle out of a toothbrush or something? I don't know. Like all the other prisoners are making shanks and I'm trying to make a sewing needle? I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. But I know I need more than fabric. That's like my greatest fear, right? Is being stuck like in prison or on an airplane. Also terrible. Fabric alone doesn't make a quilt though. We need other things to make a quilt. And everything that I design as a product is designed for the consumer to address something they need, right? So I don't just design fabric, I'm building a world around that fabric. So life imitates art. Here's one of the prints from Homemade, and here's what that looks like in real life in my studio. So we have all of the cutting tools and everything that are in the fabric, you can actually purchase in real life too. This is the very first fabric line I've ever been able to design where you can have the real life item of almost everything that's in the collection, which, yeah, that's cool, right? So, the real life items. Life imitates art, my friends. Every single thing that is in this fabric line was drawn from my actual studio. I went through my day, I gathered everything I used in a day to make the project I was working on, and all of those things appear in the fabric line. And there's the actual reel thread. This print's called Pins and Needles. And we're introducing brand new pins with Brewer. Great pins, because this is what I'm talking about when I'm addressing the need versus want. We need a pin. Whoever decided that putting a super boring ball on the end of that pin is probably a person whose favorite color is beige. And that's super cool for them. And I'm very happy for that. That is not my particular take on things. So when I said, yes, I need straight pins during my day, we can put a ball on it, and then I can paint my living room beige, or we can put a unicorn on it and I can keep the life I have, which I'm very fond of. You know, there's a machine in the line, because there has to be a machine in the line. We've got to sew on something, right? Well, why not sew our machine fabric on the matching machine. Thank you. You have no idea how long it took to coordinate all this junk, you guys. Very expensive, beautifully functioning junk. We have measuring tape in the line, because duh. And this is more like, I tend to use more rulers and things, right? But I put measuring tape in here because I do understand, I've been told that some people actually make clothes, which is really nice for them. For me personally, no part of a really enjoyable Saturday afternoon involves measuring any of this. So that's not something I personally do, but I understand that people do it and do it quite well, so congratulations. And here's real life measuring tape in the form of woven jacquard ribbon. So everything from the line, I've managed to work with my various partners to develop into a real life product to coordinate with the line. And here's all the ribbons that coordinate with the fabric. Yes, someone said like, yes, queen, and we're going to lunch later because that was awesome. And then this print was actually based on the rulers and cutting mat that I developed with Brewer. So there's the print with all our little icons in it of all our sewing, based on the markings for my rulers and for my cutting mats. So every single print has a real world product application. You can literally work with your fabric on the thing that's in the fabric, which is pretty amazing. And of course, the hands had to come from somewhere. And these are all actually my hands and my mom's hands. So life imitates art. I bet you guys have never seen my sewing needle tattoo on my finger. I always forget that's there. So, my point being, by collaborating with all of my partners, you know, it's really easy as a fabric designer. I know a lot of people look this way because my name is on everything and think that I am in charge of all of this. When you actually step back and look at the world of what I do, my job is to dream. My job is to dream of things I wish I had and go to other more qualified people to make those things real. I do not work alone in any capacity. Even within my own studio, I have a team of people. I have my mom, Kat, who manages my schedule, well, kind of everything, my whole life. You know, all my life, all she wanted to know is where I was and what I was doing, and now somehow I've been conned into paying her to know what I am doing. I consider that the swindle of the century, but I don't know how or when it happened, so who knows. My brother, who is unfortunately not here with us this weekend because he has bronchitis. I know, we're sad. So I have to learn how to use Instagram this weekend. But, you know, my brother handles the social media, the digital content. I don't even work on that part alone. And then outside of the studio, I work with all of these amazing companies to develop this product. But it's really important to me that you understand that they're the ones who do the heavy lifting. They're the ones who produce the product, who ensure the quality, who go out and find the best resources to make the best products for you. So with Free Spirit, they make the best fabric for me to put my dreams on. With Brewer, they find and manufacture themselves the best hardware pieces that are exclusive to independent quilt shops that chain stores cannot buy. To give you a product you can sell in your store that you can't be outsold or undersold by a chain retailer. All of this is for you guys. I am 1000% committed to this particular community. I grew up in it from being an employee at my mom's quilt shop for over a third of my life, in which I totally thought I knew what to do better than she did. Every single time I was wrong, just throwing that out there. But I worked in my mom's quilt shop for a third of my life. I came to Quilt Market starting when I was 18 years old to buy for her store. Then I worked at a manufacturer. where I ran production for other people's fabric lines. Then I became a fabric designer myself and started working on this side of the table. And through all of that, I was a passionate consumer, and still am a passionate consumer. I am just as excited about sample spree as most of you are. And I will use every bit of power I have as an industry professional to get in that door before you do. Just know that going into it. And if you feel an elbow, it's probably mine. But the point is, by working with all these people, 1 + 1 does not equal 2, it equals 10. Because the sum of all of it, the sum of everything is worth 1,000 times more than each of its parts. Each product on its own is just a product. All the products together are a world. And if we can sell our customer a world, we have a much better shot at keeping them than if we're just providing them with one product at a time. And so I work with pattern designers and writers because I see the fabric one way. I design it and I see it in a very, very specific way. So I work with other people to develop patterns and quilts and the inspiration for what the consumers will hopefully want to make, because I want to see how each person individually interprets what they're getting, and that gives me a much better idea of what the consumer is going to see when they see it, because they're never going to be as intimately involved with the art as I am. So I need to know how they're going to approach it blind, right? So this is actually a pattern that I developed to highlight the new thread collection for homemade for Aurifil. So I did and everything combines with everything else, and we'll get into that more later. This quilt, which is over here on my right, your left, is called Decorative Stitches, which is a really great way for me to talk about the decorative stitches that come on the Bernina machine. That are exclusive to it. I now know who's a Bernina dealer in here, so congratulations. But everything is designed with a purpose. Everything is designed to highlight a feature of something else. I work with individual pattern designers. This is a pattern designer, Angela Pingle, who made this Hidden Agenda quilt for me. And it was another way to see the fabric line through another person's eyes. This is a new pattern with So Kind of Wonderful that I'm super excited about. And I'm just seeing it for the first time over here, yay. I work with Patterns by Annie constantly because I basically worship at the altar of Annie and all of her bags. But I work with all these people for a reason. Putting it all together is the important part. You can buy any fabric designer's fabric and put it on a shelf and walk away and hope somebody buys it. But by showing them a world, by creating a universe they want to live in, this is a happy place, people. Tinkerville world is a very, very happy place. Full of magic, full of passion, full of a love for sewing, and full of a love for you. I am the daughter of a retailer. I know what you guys go through to bring a product into your store and sell it through. I know that you're not home in time for dinner, ever. I know this. I know that you do everything you can to put that product on the floor. And my job as a designer is trying to give you enough things that connect that one fabric sale can become a much bigger sale. Can become a sale of not just a fat quarter bundle or some yardage, but how about some backings? How about some hardware? How about a sewing machine? How about, let's make some money. No. Don't put this on the internet. There's so many places it can go. So putting it all together, everything that I'm showing you today is designed to connect. It's designed to connect for you, it's designed to connect for your retailer. So when you have an idea, you need somewhere to put it. So you have a floating glitter Hello Kitty inspired journal coming your way. But then once you have the idea, you've got to put some fabric in it, right? I know what I want to make, now I need the fabric. Now I need something to cut the fabric with. That's going to be pretty crucial. Maybe I need something to cut on and a ruler to cut my line straight. Hey, I got that for you. I need some thread to sew all this stuff together, man. Hey, how about some Oracle thread that matches your fabric? I need to pin these pieces together so I don't get wonky points. Or maybe I want wonky points because I'm modern. I don't know. I don't get that part. But I need to download some quilt patterns, get some quilt patterns so I know what sizes to cut with my hardware from the fabric, from the idea of my journal that's on the cutting mat that I use my ruler that I pin it all together with. But you know, now that I have these downloaded digital patterns, I feel like I need to put them somewhere. I got you covered. How about a USB stick that's shaped like a unicorn because fun?
Nice.
You can store those suckers there. And then I want to embellish it. I'm going to go by Renaissance and pick up some ribbon to throw on the fabric because it matches, so why not? I mean, I will absolutely always buy a pair of shoes that match the dress that I'm looking at the store. And I imagine that other people will too, but maybe that's just me, I don't know. But then I need something to put all that in. So how about a beautiful new double-side printed project bag that matches my fabric, that has everything in it, that goes with my machine. And you know what? I really need something to sew all this stuff together, obviously. Something to thread on, right? So we've got our machines. So what I'm talking about is building worlds and how all these things connect. So the measuring tape matches the measuring tape in the ribbon, matches the measuring on the cutting mat and the ruler. The thread appears in the machine. There's a piece called seed stitch, which is like a graphic version of an embellished stitch, which matches the thread, which matches the thread spools in the quilt called School for Love, which is hilarious, by the way. But you know, I like it when my underwear match my outfit, so maybe my hardware needs to match the finish on my sewing machine. I think that's important. And here's how all the hardware connects to all the other hardware in the pieces, which also connects to the hardware that's represented in the fabric line, and on the journals, and on the ribbon, and in all the pieces that go together. And here's the sewing machine and where it appears in every iteration throughout all the product line. And here's how everything connects to everything. It takes a long time to build a fabric collection, and this is part of it. This is the very first time I've been able to get every single partner I work with to time exactly the same for release. So the machines are out now. That was your warm-up. You know, casually buy a couple new sewing machines because there are two sizes. You know, there's a 770 for home and the 570 for travel. That seems supernatural to me. But so this is how everything connects. So 866,850. That is not the number of dollars it'll cost you to buy all this stuff. This is probably the most important number in my whole business. Because what this number represents is the combined social media reach of myself and all my partners promoting a single idea.
Wow.
This is all of us working together to push homemade. Oracle is going to be pushing homemade in the form of a thread collection. Brewer is pushing homemade in the form of new hardware products that appear in the line. Bernina is pushing homemade in the form of a sewing machine that matches the collection. Renaissance is pushing it in the form of ribbons that match the collection and the machine. This is the combined reach of all the people I work with working together to promote a single idea to your consumers. And this isn't the total reach, this is just the initial push, all pushing towards the same thing. So when I say 1 + 1 = 10, this is what I'm talking about. Working together in tandem to promote a single idea to the most people humanly possible. And that's what we're here to do. And this is homemade. I am super excited to share this with you. I am super excited for you to see it. I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I just want to leave by saying, some of you know that every once in a while I get so into a line that I have a couple special things that I offer just to retailers at Market. And I have a couple special things that I'll be distributing out of my booth in the form of a new limited edition patch and a limited edition pin. We are actually, those are the super pins. All 8 of them. They're really wild. Really wild. But so we will have those in the booth, and we really only offer those here to the retailers. It's a great thing to bring back home, to talk about the line with your stores, to use as giveaways, to use in contests and all of that. So this is homemade. I can't wait for you guys to come see my booth. I also want to just let you know off the top that I got my fabric early enough this time that every sample that's in the booth is in your brochure.
Oh, nice.
Finally. So that means that brochure is your Bible to homemade. It has all the products, all the samples, all the booth numbers of all my partners, every single piece of information you need about this collection and everything that it means and all that it's about for our community is all in that brochure.
Nice.
You can totally ask me questions and I'll answer them because that's what I'm here to do. I'm not just going to be like, it's in your catalog. Because I know, just like in a class, no one reads anything. So, feel free to ask me questions. It's what I'm here for. It's why I put on all this makeup and show up for you guys. So thank you so much for letting me talk to you this morning. And I hope you love this as much as I do. And I hope to see you at my booth, 819.